Have you ever bought something, and minutes later wondered why you did it? Not because you needed it. Not because you planned it. Just a quick click, a tiny rush, and suddenly the money is gone. A late night scroll. A "you deserve this" moment. A price that feels harmless. And somehow, the paycheck disappears again. That's not weak discipline. And it's not low income. It's an invisible spending trigger, a psychological loop that quietly hijacks your brain seconds before you buy. A silent pattern that repeats month after month, draining thousands from your future. But the moment you see it, the loop breaks. And here's the strange part. The first trigger fires seconds before you spend, and almost nobody notices it. A lot of people think the problem is spending, but the truth is deeper. The real issue usually sits inside financial psychology, not inside the wallet. Someone feels stress after a long day, boredom on a quiet night, or loneliness scrolling through social media. Then suddenly a purchase appears that feels like relief. In the world of personal finance, that moment right before the swipe is where the real story begins. Think about a scene like in the TV show Friends when characters try to cheer themselves up with impulsive decisions. It feels fun for a second, right? But the emotional trigger is still there underneath. Someone opens a shopping app at 11:30 p.m. after a rough day at work and suddenly buys sneakers, gadgets, or random stuff they didn't even think about that morning. That's not a spending addiction. That's someone chasing a quick emotional reset. One of the most powerful finance tips here is simple but brutally honest. Pause and ask, what am I feeling right now? Stress? Frustration? Feeling left behind after seeing someone else succeed online? Write it down before buying anything. People who track emotions before purchases often reduce impulse spending by over 30%, according to several behavioral financial education studies. That's not magic. That's awareness turning into a powerful money habit. Once someone starts noticing these triggers, something interesting happens. The brain begins separating emotion from money decisions. And that's where a real money mindset starts forming. Because if the emotion is the real trigger, then controlling spending isn't about discipline alone. It's about creating space between the feeling and the action, and that space becomes the next powerful move. Because once someone understands the trigger, the next question becomes obvious: what stops the impulse in real life? And the answer isn't stronger willpower, it's a small rule that quietly changes everything. Here's something most people never hear in traditional financial education: discipline is overrated if the environment is wrong. Someone doesn't need superhuman willpower to improve their personal finance. They just need a little space between the urge and the decision. That's where the 24-hour rule comes in. If it's not food, gas, or a real bill, the purchase waits one full day. And surprisingly, most urges fade faster than people expect. Think about the movie The Pursuit of Happiness. Chris Gardner didn't build stability by reacting emotionally to every moment. He slowed things down, even when life felt chaotic. The same principle works with money habits. Someone sees a $120 jacket online at midnight and feels that spark of excitement. But if they wait until tomorrow evening, that same jacket suddenly feels less urgent. Funny how that works, right? Behavioral studies and financial psychology show something fascinating. Around 70% of impulse purchases lose their emotional intensity after just 24 hours. That's huge. Imagine someone earning $60,000 a year who cuts just $200 of impulse spending per month. Over 10 years, invested into something simple like the stock Vanguard S&P 500 ETF, VOO, with average market returns, that decision could quietly grow into tens of thousands of dollars. That's how small finance tips turn into serious wealth. And here's the twist most people miss: the goal isn't to never buy things. The goal is to buy intentionally. When someone comes back after 24 hours and still wants the item, great. Now the purchase comes from clarity, not emotion. That shift alone strengthens a powerful money mindset that separates impulsive spenders from people who truly understand how to make money and keep it. But something else quietly sabotages this rule for a lot of people. Even when someone waits 24 hours, temptation is still everywhere. Ads, emails, apps, one-click checkouts. And if the environment keeps pushing spending non-stop, self-control starts fighting an uphill battle. Which raises the next critical move. What happens when someone removes temptation from their daily environment entirely? Most people try to fix spending by being stronger. But financial psychology shows something different. Environment beats willpower almost every time. If someone is surrounded by constant buying triggers, their brain never gets a break. Notifications, flash sales, limited time deals, it's like trying to eat healthy while living inside a candy store. Real personal finance progress starts when temptation becomes harder to reach. Think about the movie The Dark Knight. Batman doesn't just fight chaos directly, he builds systems to control it. Someone serious about money habits should do the same thing. Delete saved credit cards from shopping apps. Unsubscribe from marketing emails that shout 50% off today only. Turn off retail notifications. Suddenly, that emotional spending trigger from topic 1 has fewer places to land. This might sound small, but the numbers tell a different story. Studies in financial education show that people spend up to 20 to 30% less when purchases require extra steps. That extra moment of friction forces the brain to think instead of react. Someone who removes saved cards from apps like the Amazon Shopping or the Shop often notices a dramatic drop in impulse buying within weeks. Convenience is great for companies, but terrible for personal finance. And here's the cool part, this doesn't mean someone can't enjoy spending money. It just means spending becomes intentional instead of automatic. That's a key shift in money mindset. When access becomes slightly inconvenient, decisions become smarter. And once that happens, a surprising question appears. If spending used to give a quick emotional high, what replaces that feeling now? Because removing temptation solves half the problem. But the brain still wants the reward. And the next step is where things get really interesting, because instead of fighting the dopamine rush, someone can actually redirect it into a habit that makes them stronger financially and mentally. Spending isn't just about money. It's about the dopamine rush the brain gets when something new shows up. That quick hit of excitement is exactly why impulse shopping feels so good for a moment. In financial psychology, this is called a reward loop. Someone feels a negative emotion, makes a purchase, and the brain learns that buying equals relief. If someone wants stronger money habits, they don't just remove the spending, they replace the reward. Think about a character like Rocky in the movie Rocky. Rocky didn't eliminate pressure or frustration from his life. He redirected it into training. The same strategy works for personal finance. When the urge to buy something hits, someone can redirect that energy into a short action, a 10-minute walk, 20 push-ups, calling a friend, or reading 5 pages of a book like the book Atomic Habits. The brain still gets movement and progress, but without draining the bank account. Here's where the numbers become interesting. Behavioral researchers studying financial education discovered that replacing a habit is nearly twice as effective as trying to eliminate it completely. If someone replaces just one $40 impulse purchase per week with a productive habit, that's over $2,000 per year saved. Invested wisely in something steady like the stock Apple Incorporated or the stock Microsoft Corporation over time, that small behavioral shift could quietly grow into tens of thousands of dollars. More importantly, this rewires the brain. Instead of associating relief with spending, someone starts associating relief with movement, progress, and control. That's where a real money mindset starts locking in. And something surprising begins to happen. The emotional urge to spend shows up less and less. But even with new habits, there's still a hidden trap that keeps people overspending. The way money feels today is completely different from how it felt 20 years ago. And once someone understands why digital money tricks the brain so easily, they unlock a brutally simple technique that forces reality back into every spending decision. Here's something wild about modern personal finance. Digital money doesn't feel real to the brain. Swiping a card or tapping a phone barely triggers any emotional resistance. But handing over physical cash? That hits differently. Researchers in financial psychology found that people feel up to twice as much pain of payment when using cash instead of cards. That discomfort isn't bad, it's actually a powerful tool for building disciplined money habits. Think about the discipline shown in the movie Creed. Training scenes aren't about flashy shortcuts. They're about feeling every rep, every breath, every drop of effort. Cash works the same way in personal finance. Someone withdraws $150 or $200 at the start of the week for non-essential spending. Groceries, gas, and bills stay digital, but fun spending becomes physical money that slowly disappears from the wallet. Now the brain starts paying attention. Someone grabbing lunch notices the bills getting thinner. Buying random items suddenly feels different because the wallet physically empties. Many financial education experiments show people reduce impulse purchases by 15 to 25% just by switching discretionary spending to cash. Imagine someone saving an extra $300 a month using this method. Invested consistently into something stable like the stock Vanguard Total Stock Market ETF, VTI, that habit could build serious wealth over time. The best part is how this changes awareness. Cash forces someone to see the limits of their spending in real time. That awareness strengthens a money mindset where decisions become intentional, not automatic. Suddenly the question isn't, can I buy this, but is this worth part of my weekly money? And once someone starts controlling spending this clearly, something deeper begins to shift. Because real financial change isn't just about tools or tactics. It's about identity. And in the next step, the most powerful transformation begins, when someone stops seeing themselves as bad with money and starts becoming the type of person who naturally wins with it. Here's a truth that most financial education programs barely talk about: long-term personal finance success is rarely about math. It's about identity. Someone who constantly says, "I'm terrible with money," ends up reinforcing the exact behavior they want to escape. In financial psychology, this is called identity reinforcement. The brain tries to stay consistent with the story someone believes about themselves. Think about the transformation arc in the movie Spider-Man: Homecoming. Peter Parker doesn't become Spider-Man just because of the suit. He grows into the identity of someone responsible enough to carry that power. The same thing happens with money habits. When someone starts saying, "I'm becoming someone who makes intentional financial decisions," the brain begins aligning behavior with that identity. This shift may sound subtle, but it's incredibly powerful. Dave Ramsey, from the Ramsey Solutions, often says people win with behavior, not with complicated formulas. Someone earning $50,000 with disciplined money mindset and strong personal finance habits will almost always outperform someone earning $120,000 who spends impulsively. The difference isn't income, it's identity-driven decisions repeated daily. Practical example: instead of asking, "Can I afford this?" someone asks, "Would a financially disciplined person buy this today?" That tiny reframing strengthens self-control over time. And once someone begins identifying as a person who protects their money, saving and investing stop feeling like punishment and start feeling like progress. But this identity shift opens the door to something even deeper. Because self-control isn't just a modern productivity trick or a finance tip, the idea has been taught for thousands of years. And the next principle comes from ancient wisdom that compares a lack of self-control to something surprisingly powerful: a city completely without walls. Long before modern financial education and financial psychology existed, ancient wisdom was already talking about self-control. The Book of Proverbs says something powerful in Proverbs 25 verse 28, "A person without self-control is like a city broken into and left without walls." In today's world of personal finance, that image hits hard. Without discipline, money flows out as fast as it comes in. Think about a scene from the movie The Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King, when the city of Minas Tirith depends on strong walls to survive attacks. The walls weren't there to restrict freedom, they existed to protect it. That's exactly how discipline works in money habits. Budgets, waiting rules, and spending limits aren't prisons. They're protection systems for someone building a serious money mindset. Real-world example: someone earning $4,000 a month decides to automatically direct 20% into savings and investments before spending anything. That's $800 every month, strengthening their financial future. Over 20 years, invested consistently in something broad like the stock SPDR S&P 500 ETF trust, that habit alone could grow into hundreds of thousands of dollars. That's not luck. That's discipline quietly working in the background of how to make money and keep it. And something incredible happens when someone builds those walls through consistent habits. Stress around money starts dropping. Decisions feel clearer. Spending becomes intentional instead of emotional. That's when personal finance stops feeling like a constant battle and starts feeling like control over your future. But here's the thing most people don't realize yet: all of these steps only work when someone understands the deeper reason behind their spending behavior in the first place. And once that realization hits, everything starts making sense from the very beginning. Remember how frustrating it felt to watch money disappear without really knowing why? That constant cycle of spending, regret, and starting over can drain not just your bank account, but your confidence too. But now you've seen the real mechanics behind it. You've seen how financial psychology, better money habits, and a stronger money mindset can completely reshape your personal finance reality. The truth is, the people who master money aren't necessarily the ones who earn the most. They're the ones who understand their behavior and build systems that work for them, not against them. Now here's the real question. What happens if you actually apply this? What would your life look like if the next 12 months were guided by intentional finance tips, smarter money habits, and a mindset focused on how to make money instead of constantly losing it? Imagine opening your bank account and feeling calm instead of stressed. If you want to keep learning practical financial education like this, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss the strategies that can completely transform your relationship with money. And if you're serious about taking the next step, there's something powerful waiting for you. There's a complete guide called Holistic Health: Nourish Your Mind, Balance Your Finances, Transform Your Life that goes much deeper than what we covered here. Inside, you'll learn how to build multiple income streams, eliminate destructive spending patterns, create automated investing systems, and maintain mental clarity even when financial pressure hits. It connects financial psychology, wealth-building habits, and long-term personal finance strategies into one clear roadmap. Click the link in the pinned comment now and start transforming your finances today. Check out the material in the pinned comment. So before you leave, think about this for a second. What's one spending trigger you noticed in your own life while watching this? And what's the first money habit you're going to change starting today? Drop it in the comments. Sometimes one honest decision is all it takes to completely change the direction of your financial future.